India takes the helm of BRICS in 2026. This takes place at a time when reports suggest that the 11-member bloc is on track to control nearly 70% of the world's gold reserves. The bloc has steadily increased its gold holdings, reducing dependence on dollar-based assets. Since 2020, BRICS central banks have doubled their gold reserves, with India now holding close to 880 tons. The group as a whole has amassed over 6,000 tons of gold, enough to dent the foundations of international trade, with China and Russia leading in reserves. Also oil. Combining Iran's oil with Saudi Arabia's and Russia's, BRICS controls a massive share of global energy exports, and Iran's willingness to sell oil outside the dollar system directly undermines the petrodollar, aligning with BRICS' gold-backed trade prospects.
Chinese imports of oil from Venezuela comprise no more than roughly 3 to 4% of its total oil imports, if not less, over the past couple of years, whereas China, as of last year, purchased approximately 13 to 14%, right, of its total oil imports from Iran. And that's to say Iran is at least numerically on paper 3 to 4 times more important than Venezuela, simply, even if we're just talking about energy supply here.
This gold-backed strategy is not just about reserves, but about stability, sovereignty, and shared prosperity. While India's BRICS presidency in 2026 is guided by reformed multilateralism, concerns of the global south, and promoting digital and technological innovation, it supports financial and energy security efforts of the bloc.
Founded by BRICS countries, the new development bank has emerged as an important instrument of economic cooperation, promoting infrastructure and sustainable development of its member countries. India remains committed to supporting activities and efforts to further strengthen the bank as a credible, responsible, and financially sustainable institution.
BRICS now includes Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Indonesia, and has transformed into a global force. With gold-backed trading systems and settlement infrastructure, BRICS is laying the groundwork for a new financial order, one less vulnerable to external shocks and currency volatility.
China or Russia, they are using alternate currencies, but US is responsible for any efforts on de-dollarization because international trade, that currency flows through that SWIFT platform. US has barred access of this platform to Russia or Iran, so they are forced to use alternate mechanisms.
Experts say this move signals the dawn of a hard money era, where physical gold, not paper promises, defines economic strength. Gold has symbolized wealth, trust, and resilience for centuries. As India leads BRICS in 2026, at a critical time for the global south, the future of global finance is being strengthened through a veritable gold mine. The BRICS gold reserves do provide for a more balanced, inclusive, and stable economic order. The Economic Brief, DD India. Dr. Charan Singh continues to be with us. Dr. Charan Singh, we have time for just one question. But, while gold is a strong hedge against the US dollar, can massive reserves alone, displace the dollar's dominance? What more do you think is required?
Well, you're so right. Gold is playing a very dominant role in BRICS, and rightly so, with 50% of gold production taking place in this country, 70% of gold held in these countries. Now, the important thing is that over a period of time, US economy, which accounts for 25% of world GDP, it may not be very easy to displace dollar in a short time. Of course, to a great extent, we'll probably have non-dollar invoicing of trade. That is also something very positive, which was unheard of a few years back. 85% of world trade, where America was not a part, the invoicing would take place in the US dollar. That, of course, is changing after COVID and certainly changing after the Russia-Ukraine war. Now, with the BRICS playing an important role, enlarging the membership of BRICS, the gold production and the gold reserves, which are being centered in the central banks of BRICS, that is changing. Now, to that extent, the Russian currency, and of course, the Chinese currency are going to get quite a bit of benefit there. As was just mentioned, the BRICS Bank is also playing a very important role there. But if you ask in near future, we will be able to displace US dollar from the reserves, international reserves and balance sheets of central banks. I think that's not going to happen in near future. And that is mainly because a single country is accounting for a very large share of the global economy. That is the reason. Also, the central bank, the Fed Reserve, to a great extent, of course, there's a legacy, there's historical trends, but the Fed Reserve plays a very prominent role in global interest rate fixation, and therefore that role continues to serve on the balance sheets of central banks.
We leave it there. Thank you very much, Dr. Charan Singh. Thank you for putting all this into perspective for us.